The neat thing about these 1907s, they were pretty popular. Sold a lot more of them than they did the 35s in the 1905. Even the French military used these during World War I in some of their aircraft and observation balloons. Hi, my name is Jim Green. I'm a gunsmith. I'm in Down East, Maine. Welcome to another episode of This Old Gun. What we've got here today is a Winchester 1907 in 351 WSL. The Winchester 1907 was developed by a guy named Thomas Crosley Johnson. He worked with Browning for Winchester. He mostly took Browning's designs and improved them enough to be manufactured for mass production. Unfortunately, when Winchester and Browning parted ways, Winchester decided they needed a self-loading rifle. So they asked this guy Johnson to develop one, and he did. The 1903 self-loading in 22. Later on, they had the 1905 in 35 WSL, and it was decided that was a little bit too weak. So they came up in 1907 with the 35 WSL, and then in 1910 they came out with one in 401. And WSL stands for Winchester Self-Loading. Now, the ammunition for these things is pretty darn difficult to find. So what I do when I make my own ammunition, so you can see an original case here with a 351 diameter projectile that was manufactured, and I bought that, but I couldn't find any more. So what I did is I took some 360 Dan Wesson cases and modified them in my lathe to fit. Now these projectiles here, if you look at them carefully, they're actually 9mm XTP, 147 grain. I made a little swaging die, and I ran those 355 projectiles down through that swaging die and crunched these down and made them into 351s. Now, I had originally tried using a larger 35 caliber diameter projectiles. Problem is, the lead core would squeeze down, but the copper jacket would have a little bit of spring back, and that left a little bit of an air gap inside, and they were not very accurate. But with 9mm XTPs, I could squeeze them down and they would hold true. The neat thing of it is these 180 grain projectiles here get about 1850 feet per second. With these 147s, I'm getting a lot more than that. So let's fire this thing. The Winchester self-loading rifles were the first commercially available semi-automatic rifles on the market. Now the magazine will hold 5 rounds. I'm only going to shoot 3. Now here's the neat thing. The way you cock one of these rifles, you push in on this little button right up here, and it cycles the bolt for the first round. The neat thing about these 1907s, they were pretty popular. Sold a lot more of them than they did the 35s in the 1905. Even the French military used these during World War I in some of their aircraft and observation balloons. So let's fire a couple rounds here. So let's go ahead and make sure the weapon is clear. Nothing in the chamber. And as with always, before you fire any antique gun, you should take them to a competent gunsmith and have them really checked out well. The model 1907 Winchester is not a pre-98. It is still a collectible piece, but you do have to fill out a 4473 for one of these. If you like this video, subscribe to the channel. I'll bring you some more of this content.